If you like this channel and what I do here, please help to support my work by checking out one of my books, available from Lulu Publishing and Amazon.com. Thank you. Hi folks, Carl Jones here from Electric Media Madness, joined by Dan Ryan. How you doing, mate?
Not too great after that episode, to be honest.
Yeah. I must admit, I'm not feeling particularly good myself today. I've had a bit of a cold. And people out there remember the days when people did actually just get colds and they weren't dying of something, allegedly. But in this nightmare world that we live in, speaking of nightmares, this episode.
Yeah.
But first of all, before we jump in, I want to tell you, because I don't, this is the first time seeing this episode, and for me as well, obviously. But I also want to tell a little story for you and for our viewers out there about a Star Trek story, about a joined species, somebody who's carrying a symbiote inside them, who's having trouble remembering things from their previous hosts, and decides to travel home to the Trill homeworld, and gets met with hostility from the authorities and all this kind of thing. In order to access his memories, gets taken down into these white gooey pools of things underneath the ground in caves and that, and eventually starts accessing their memories, and then rejoins with their memories, becomes a whole with all their memories again, becomes at peace with themselves and everything. Does that sound familiar to what we've...
It does, yeah, it does.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm surprised because you haven't seen this episode. It's called Equilibrium from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's an absolute rip-off of that episode, beat for beat. It's an absolute rip-off. And they've not even brought... Well, I think they were attempting to bring something new to the table here with this one, but they failed. And they tried to do something... I could tell with this episode, they were trying to be really profound. They were trying to make like what people will one day consider to be a classic. It failed miserably. It really failed miserably. So this episode, which I believe is called Forget Me Not, which is apt because I couldn't remember the name of the episode, it's like riffing on all of the things to do with the Trill in Star Trek. So there's little touches of the Host and the Next Generation, which is, loosely a Trill episode, although the species in that look very different from what the Trill eventually looked like. I think they're trying to explain away that continuity error in Star Trek now by saying, symbionts could be carried by non-Trill species, which kind of is retroactively going back and rewriting Star Trek a little bit. But then you've got the full proper Trill stories, which are pretty much Deep Space Nine episodes. So you've got things like Dax in the first season. You've got an episode called Invasive Procedures in season 2. An episode called Playing God as well. There's an episode called Field of Fire, which is effectively a sort of a sequel to Equilibrium. And then, of course, you've got another episode, which I believe they were trying to capitalize on that here as well, which is the classic episode Rejoined from season 4 of Deep Space Nine. You've heard me speak about the episode a lot. It's generally a lot of Trill episodes dealt with this idea of what it is to be you, your memories and your personality. It also addresses some Trill episodes have addressed sexuality and gender and that sort of thing, which has given them a platform to give those episodes an effective, I might say, platform to talk about LGBTQ and things like that as well in the past. It's also about your identity, who makes you what you are, sort of thing, what makes you what you are. And I think the writers, because they have no creativity, they just plagiarize everything. They've gone back and picked all the best little bits from the Trill episodes and mishmashed them into this one. And because this was clearly part of Alex Kurtzman's political platform for Star Trek, because he wanted to talk about identity politics, which would normally would be done very, very well in Star Trek. it fails miserably in this episode, but not for the reasons that you might think. Largely, I will come to it, but largely it's to do with in the flashbacks when we see Lady Adira and her boyfriend from before she was joined, and they're trying to talk about sexuality and gender with this episode, but it's undermined by the fact that the acting and the chemistry between these two actors is shit. It's not good at all. It's very badly acted. So when you are trying to relate to these characters, relate to the story, relate to the process of what they're going through with their lives, you can't connect, you can't associate, because it feels very fake. There's no chemistry between the actors at all, really, to speak of.
No, not really.
So
no.
where they've failed here is not so much in the way they've tried to deliver something from their platform. It's more of their just not done well. It's not acted well.
No.
There's no chemistry between the actors either. So, and I'm sure there'll be people like that say, "Oh, it was wonderful, the love story between them." That's where really the fault lies with this. It's not so much what they were trying to portray. It was more the way it was executed, the way it was delivered. It was poorly acted.
It was close. It could have been.
It could have been very good. This could have. I think they were trying too hard here. They were trying to do They were trying to do a rejoined. Or something to that effect, or the host. They were trying to tell something in a profound way, tell a story in a profound way, and I think I got the impression with this episode that they were trying to create something that people would say was a classic.
Yeah.
Did you get that feeling from it?
Yeah.
You know that but it didn't work. It just didn't work. It's undermined by so many things. We'll get into it. The stuff on Discovery is like vomit inducing. But
most of my notes are on the Discovery stuff. Actually,
yeah. I haven't really got a lot to say about the Lady Adira and her, because that's neither here nor there. It's just very poorly executed. That was the problem. It could have been a very, very good story.
Yeah,
it could have been very thought provoking. It could actually have been a classic, but in their attempt to try so hard to create, you could clearly see they were trying too hard to make something that people would remember, and they fell way short of the mark. They really did. It's been done so much better. And again, episodes like Equilibrium and Rejoined in Deep Space Nine, they are brilliant stories that have a message to them, and they're doing really, really well. So so it's not that. It's not about the message. It's about the way it's done. So, do you want to just do a very, very quick? Now that I've rabbited, I'll just do a quick synopsis of the plot, so that
my
spoiler alert, by the way.
Spoiler alert. My first note is from right at the start of the episode, and I just wrote, starts with some STD crew are so epic and awesome, they don't need anyone's help. Very cringe is what I wrote down.
Yeah. And I don't know if you got the vibe as well, but I almost felt like they were trying to capitalise a little bit on the Orville. The interplay between the characters, the fun, the laughter, sitting down and having film night in the cargo bay. I mean, by the end of this episode, I so wanted that force field to go down on the shuttle bay and just suck them all out into space. Because let this be over. Let this nightmare be over. Figuratively, not literally. But yeah, so the interaction between the crew is just so I mean, if you want to just talk us through a little bit of that.
I mean, so much of it is just like teen drama angst that you'd expect from like Gossip Girl.
CW, it's CW type YA novel, CW drama, or as Nerdrotic said before, feelings in hallways, feelings in corridors.
Literally, yeah. I mean, barely even the angst in hallways most of the episode. Yeah. That's what the first 10 minutes are, really. Just angst in the corridors, really.
Yeah. They're trying to say something about like post-traumatic stress type thing, that they're all, because they're now cut off from their past and their lives and home.
Well, I also wrote down, what the fuck are they going to try and explain everyone's like characters with this post-traumatic growth shit? That's what I wrote down.
yeah. You definitely get that feeling, don't you? That's how they're trying to define all of these characters now, which is a very bad idea. I mean, the only one who isn't doesn't seem to be like that is Giorgio, and she's just like, oh, I don't give a shit about
Yeah.
even being here, you know, which is her one note for her character as well, isn't it? Which is a shame because she's a great actress.
Yeah,
Michelle
yeah.
Yeoh. It's just, you know, in this role, you really do feel that she's just riding out her contract now.
You know, she got to to punch some people a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah,
She says a haiku this episode. That's
yeah,
about
which is again they were trying to be funny here, but
Yeah.
it just it didn't work. It didn't work at all.
Yeah. But I don't know if you picked up on this, but I just kind of wrote down, yo, what the fuck? Calling the Trill symbionts squids.
Yeah, I know.
Just,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
And another thing I picked up on as well, we're just mentioning about sort of like the political platform of that Star Trek is now, but not the right kind of political platform, you know, done in a thoughtful and mindful way as it used to be, is obviously because of the burn and all that, they're showing all the different species and races and blah, 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 as being very, very different now. And we've already had Earth being effectively like isolationist. And you've got the Trills
Expanse,
here now.
Basically.
Well, the Expanse, yeah, with the Belters and all that, yeah, complete rip-off of that. But the Trill here are effectively portrayed as being xenophobic.
They're just dicks.
Yeah, they don't want symbionts to be merged with non-Trills because they call Lady Adira, they call her an abomination, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, it's like any Trill symbiote that's joined now with a non-Trill is like, no, it's against, you know, they're like really sort of, so, and I would say that the Trills, they have their moments of non-tolerance, especially in the episode Rejoined, where, you know, how they're not allowed to reassociate with their past lives and all that. But generally, by and large, the Trill, particularly through Jadzia Daxi Deep Space Nine, they're portrayed as a very sort of like, I don't like to use the word tolerant, but they know how to interact with different cultures very, very well. You know, the way Dax mixes with the Klingons in Deep Space. It's like, yeah, everybody's out there and we get on great with it. We've got no issues with we'll get on with anybody, you know, no matter what their differences are. And now they're like these xenophobic, go away, run away, you know, no, don't come here, don't pollute us, you know, you abomination, you. So again, that's another example of just pummeling all over the history of Star Trek, you know, just destroying it, just destroying the past of Star Trek, effectively.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that one, anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, you got the first 10 minutes of angst in corridors, and they talk about to try and they're gonna go to the Trill planet and they're gonna try and link her fully with her squid. And then everyone's just like the doctor's just going around and scanning everyone, and then he goes to Saru and he's like, you know what, I think everyone might be a bit stressed.
Yeah.
And it's like, you would think, wouldn't you?
I know how he feels. I was getting stressed watching this.
It's like, you would think so, yeah. You'd think, being like thrown 900 years in the future, that there might be a little bit of tension.
Yeah.
I hate every bit on Discovery in this episode. It's all like unbearable. Yeah.
I mean, I did put here the crew dinner with Saru, and that is excruciating.
Yeah.
Trying to show them all socializing and laughing and that, and making them out to be like these really nice, easy to get along with people. And that I was just making notes as it was going along. But then the scene kind of all goes bizarre anyway, because then you've got Lisa Left Eye Lopez, or whatever her name is, Kayla, is it? Starts acting really bizarre and doing her own all about blood and guts all over the and all this kind of thing. And then they all start shouting at each other and arguing at each other, which kind of sums up Discovery, doesn't it? Like any attempt to make them likable characters just ends in them all just shouting at each other and being really vile to each other. So yeah, they kind of summed up the show in that scene, really, didn't they? With that.
Maybe the writer of the episode got a little bit tipsy, and then he went he went in the writers' room, and he accidentally wrote down what was happening at the writers' table instead.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's the writers' room. Yeah, that is the writers' room. Yeah. Yeah, that's good analogy. That is definitely, and it's probably true. It's probably true. Yeah. I just wanted to point out here as well is that something is clearly going on with Kayla, isn't? But
Yeah.
there was also a scene where, I mean, they kind of downplay it at the end and they're trying to make out that she's just stressed, traumatized, that kind of thing. But I still think she's been infected by because we get a scene where Saru's like, the computer starts acting weird as well.
Yeah.
And then they say at the end that the sphere, we came into the future to protect the sphere data. That kind of contradicts everything at the end of season 2,
Yeah.
but we're not even going to go into such sweet sorrow because that's just bile inducing, that is.
It's going to protect them. The sphere's going to protect them by saying, "Oh, have a night off and have a meal."
Yeah. And I'm kind of getting mixed up now. Was there two lots of AI sort of stuff going on there? Because you got the sphere data and then you got the AI. Obviously, the AI one was trying to sort of kill them all and that. But I thought the sphere data was actually something to do with the AI. It was a part of the AI.
Well, it was like a collection of all the data gathered over like a really, really long time.
Oh,
and
right,
that could help
misunderstood
control, which is an almost AI.
Almost AI, not an AI that wants to be an AI. That's yeah.
But how can you become an AI? You're an AI if you want something.
And you've got to be an AI first to want to be an AI. Yeah, and if you want to be an AI,
then you're an AI.
You are an AI. Yeah, but I mean, this subject's been done to death by a lot of people. But you're right, absolutely.
Yeah. What's their fucking obsession with AIs? Jeez.
Yeah, because they're not leaving it alone, are they? They're not leaving it alone. They did it in Picard. They did it in season 2 of Discovery, and it would have been the best move here. Now would have been to have just left that behind.
Yeah.
Left it in season 2 where it belongs with the tribe. But they're clearly bringing it back again. The problem with these writers and the producers on this show is they dig these holes so deep for themselves that they can't dig themselves out again. So they just think, oh, you know what? We'll just keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper until we come out the other side of the planet. You know?
If we're fucking going down, we might as well go.
Might as well go all the way out and out the other side. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know what other notes you've got. I haven't got many other notes on this really.
I've got a couple. But...
Yeah. The only other one thing I wanted to say was I did wonder because we're in the habit of making predictions about things, aren't we? And my new prediction I'm going to call for this episode is there's this scene earlier in the episode where they're talking about the dilithium, that they talk about the spore drive and how valuable it is because it's the only one around and blah, 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 and all this kind of thing. I'm wondering if eventually the spore drive will become the accepted means of travel for the Federation at the end of this season.
It could be, yeah.
So that they'll kind of ship it out to all the other ships and blah, blah, blah. So. But that's just a prediction I'm making at this point, whether that'll happen or not. We've made already quite a few predictions, haven't we?
You're probably right, to be honest. But
so it just seems, because they're not very good at foreshadowing, are they, in this show, and setting things up for the future. It's like blatantly signposted that, and when these things kind of, it's almost like you pick up on them straight away. There has to be a reason why, because that scene is so out of context.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason why they're making such a big song and dance about that for 5 minutes. It's got to be something that's going to mean something for later on. And I often wonder sometimes if these things are done in reshoots, because they get to the end of the series and they think, we've done that now, but we didn't set up how it happened. Yeah. So we'll go back and film that scene in episode 3, and then it'll look like, we were clever, we were predicting that. So, yeah.
So this one bit that got me in fucking hysterics. So they go down into the caves, right? And they're chatting a little bit, and then they decide to get in the cum lightning pool, and she
I'm getting flashbacks to end of Evangelion with the
oh
god that discussion. A lot. Sorry, go on.
We're going full circle.
Yeah. Well, this has happened before and will happen again. Sorry, go on.
So Adira gets in the pool. She lies down, and then her head's just like this, right? And then they really poorly edited it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but then she suddenly just like, and then her eyes go white. And
yeah. It was really badly. Yeah.
It got me. Yeah. And then after the Michael Burnham gets in.
Does the same thing.
Yeah. Oh god, it fucking killed me. I just wrote fucking hysterical down on the notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's they did. Oh yeah, no, they can't. No, we've done this discussion to death, haven't we? About
Yeah.
how they execute these things.
Mm.
Sometimes it's just so
It
yeah.
wouldn't have been as bad, but the editing, it was like they didn't put the head in the same position.
Same position,
So it
yeah,
went from
yeah. It
like
was
this
badly
to like
misaligned, wasn't it?
that. Yeah.
Be like cutting us now and going,
It,
that,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So shall we? That's it, really. But all I want to say about it. If you've got nothing else to
Yeah, I
say, shall we
think it's
rate
time
it?
to give some scores.
Yeah. Okay then. Go on, go for it.
Now, my ratings were going up. We started with a 2.5, we had a 3.5, and then I think a 4.5. Uh, yeah, this one was kind of terrible.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
There weren't really much good about it. A 2, I suppose.
Right.
A 2.
Yeah, I am really struggling to think of anything that only in as much as I thought they were trying to do something good here, they were
Mm,
trying to, but they just failed so miserably with it. I think. Well, I was going to say that at the core of it, there could have been a good story here.
yeah.
But again, they've ripped off. It's not original,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's not like they even ripped off something and then tried to change it to such a degree that you could trick people into thinking it wasn't ripped off,
Mm.
because it was a blatant rip off.
Yeah.
I like at the beginning of this video, I described the plot of Equilibrium, and it's almost identical. So it's not like they're ripping a famous. They're just ripping another episode of a much better episode with other things in it. So I can't give it. I zero. I can't think of anything that I want to say good about it.
I think the only thing that's
I might have said a 1, but I can't think of anything. So sorry, go on.
there's one thing that's like not terrible, but like not amazing, but kind of okay. And Adira is like a positive enough, like she's a positive and hopeful character,
Yes,
and
and
that's
we
what it
did mention
needs.
that in the
Yeah.
previous. We mentioned that in the previous episode review, didn't we? That I didn't. Yeah, yeah. So in that respect, but can I give an episode a point
No,
for
probably not.
something that's already been established in a previous episode that
Yeah.
character is a good positive, and not an unlikable, because she's not an unlikable character.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
she's not an annoying character. But yeah, I'm going to stick with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, but
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll take some flack for that one out there. But it's a 0. So
Yeah.
so unless anything else you wanted to say before we
No,
sign off.
That's it.
I also want to say as well, we are having a few problems sharing our content from Electric Media Madness at the moment. We just thought we'd tag this on the end. So if anybody out there can help us out, we'd really, really appreciate it. We're trying to we share our links on social media and that. We don't know whether it's YouTube or whether it's the social media platforms or whether it's both. But we're kind of not being able to share our videos in these arenas. So if anybody out there has the means to share it themselves and would like to, we'd truly appreciate that. Or just generally just get people watching, mashing that like button for us as well, subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to click the bell icon as well so you get notifications of when the videos come out, because we do have some people who get notified about our videos through social media, but if we can't share it there, then the best option here on YouTube is to make sure you've got the bell icon clicked, and you'll know then that we've got videos coming your way, if you do like the content anyway, that is. So we truly appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. And unless there's anything else you wanted to say,
That's it.
we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Any language goodbye today? Different language for us?
I
caught you out there, didn't I? He's going to Google one now.
We'll go the first one. I just typed in goodbye and Welsh was what came up, so we'll go for that.
Are you really going to try and pronounce something else?
Wheel far.
Do you know what?
Wheel fuar.
I'm going before we get slammed by the Welsh for your bad pronunciation of their language. Anyway, we hope you've enjoyed this video. That's it for today from me and Dan. And we'll see you again soon. Take care.
Wheel far.